Welcome back to Contend 101, where we are having some tough conversations so that you don't have to, and it makes it easier for you to contend for your relationships. Today, I am joined. She's young, she's hip, she's relatable. We have Rachel Gonzalez.
Wow, thank you, Elise Mahan.
Oh my gosh, look at us with our married names. Okay,
so fun.
Today we are talking about how to stop doom scrolling. And
Sounds
as
intense.
always, I'm going to start the timer because we believe it only takes a short amount of time for us to get better with our relationships. Rach, doom scrolling, what is it for those that are like, this is a brand new term?
Yeah, well.
And do I do it?
So it was a brand new term for me.
Okay.
And so I was like, what is this? And so I looked it up, and it's basically when you're excessively scrolling online to where you actually get into really negative emotions. It leads to comparison, to jealousy, to anger, to isolation, to all these things. And so I read this because I was like, what is it? And then I realized, oh, this is me. Like,
this is something we literally all do.
I'm a doom scroller, and that's not a good thing.
My name is Elise, and I am a doom scroller.
We are both doom scrollers. So it's not a great thing.
Okay.
And it can lead to really just not great emotions that probably lead you to not live in a great way.
Right.
So.
And I guess the reason we can do it is because sometimes life can feel so loud, or there can be a lot of emotions we don't want to deal with, that it seems easier to scroll on my phone, to numb out, to disassociate.
Yes.
And we think that by doing that, at least we can fix it for a while. At least we can kind of temporarily leave the things we need to deal with in our life. But as you just said, it actually doesn't lead to these positive things.
No.
What have been, I guess, either some of your experiences with doom scrolling?
Yeah.
What did it lead to, or what do you feel like is one of those areas that we maybe don't realize that just scrolling on our phone for hours actually leads to?
Yeah. Well, I know for me, I've realized it's led to a lot of comparison.
Yeah. Same.
And the thing with doom scrolling is like you're doom scrolling and you're only seeing people's highlight reels.
Yep.
A lot of people aren't showing the real stuff.
And we know that, don't we?
But we know it, but we like forget it when we're doing
we pick up, I'm like, it's not even real. I pick up my phone for Instagram and I'm scrolling and I'm like, why is everyone's life better than mine? Even though I know
it's a highlight reel.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so it just leads to, oh, they have this and I don't have that, or they have the perfect relationship and mine's falling apart, or they have all the great friends and I feel lonely. And it's like, we don't actually know the full reality. But now all I've done is just compare their highlight reel to my life. And so now I'm living in this cycle of comparison. So I'm lacking joy, I'm lacking peace, I'm lacking confidence, and all the things.
So how do we stop? Because I think one of the biggest things is when you're doom scrolling, getting out of it feels so hard. Is that not just like the nature of cycles in our life? Is that it's not great. So we know doom scrolling is only leading me to compare my life to other people's highlight reel. And even though I know in theory it's not real, when I'm watching the reels, it feels real. And that leads to jealousy, which leads to me not feeling grateful for anything in my life, and me trying to speed up God's timing, skipping processes, which leads to its own other cycles of issues that lead us to doom scrolling again. It's a vicious cycle. How do we stop?
Yeah, man, it's hard because I do feel like because it's such a big cycle in our lives, we don't feel like we can stop. But I know for me, a way that I've been able to fight the comparison in the midst of this doom scrolling is to choose to vocally and loudly celebrate people in my life.
Ooh, okay, what does that look like?
And so for me, that looks like even in the midst of the doom scrolling, to stop the comparison, I'm actually going to reach out to somebody online and celebrate the things that God's doing in their life. I saw this post. I am celebrating this relationship for you. I'm celebrating what I see that God's doing in your life. Or maybe it's a phone call. I know that when there's been girls or people in my life that I'm really comparing my life to, I'll like hit them up personally and be like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm celebrating what I see in your life, even though like I don't actually feel great.
Totally.
It actually changes my heart in the midst of doing it when I don't feel like it. It changes my posture, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. I
love what you're saying, because when we're talking about this, you're even cultivating what needs to grow in our life. And we're looking at these farming analogies in just our church as a whole, honestly, for Church for the One. What you reap is what you've sowed. It's a biblical principle. It's an agricultural principle. And this is what you're saying is you don't don't feel like sowing celebration. You don't feel like sowing gratitude for your life, especially when you're on a good old doom scroll and the comparison the muscle is really intense. But the very thing you need to do is stop yourself in your tracks and sow a different seed. So when I'm celebrating somebody else's life, I'm not pretending like I don't also want that. What I'm doing is joining in with what God has done in their life with this understanding that God has more power and miraculous things available than just for them. Because I think sometimes that's the problem, right? Somebody gets engaged and we think all of God's engaged, answered prayers are done for the year. Someone gets a baby and we think somebody gets the job promotion that we wanted. Somebody gets the new car that we wanted. And somehow it's this almost like scarcity mentality that says God only has room for that miracle once in this season of life. But if we actually tap into that, hey, I reap what I sow. If I am sowing celebration, then we're going to not only change our heart posture, but that sets us up to be able to receive it as well, right?
Keeps you encouraged for what's to come in your life.
That's exactly right. Has there been a moment where you've experienced that in your own life where you're like, I actually remember a time when I was in a season of comparison and this is how that changed?
Well, I do. This might sound silly, but I do remember in high school. I was one of the people that got to be nominated for homecoming queen.
Yeah, you did. Of course you did.
And
Rach.
I don't. But that's very kind, and I didn't win.
It's okay. You're my homecoming queen.
Thank you.
One for Rach.
But I remember there was this moment with the girl that won, like where I got jealous. I started comparing of like, well, what does she have that I don't have? Like, I wanted that, it's like, it just starts going. And so I'm like, no. I could stay in this and then I could grow bitter and I could stay in this jealousy, or I could go out of my way and I could go up to her and celebrate the win that she just got, knowing that there's going to be a win in my life too. And it might not look like this, but it actually might be better. And so just going up to her, hey, I'm so happy for you. I'm celebrating. And it shocks people too. Like whenever your first response is celebration, because it's not a lot of people's first responses. And so they're like, wow, thank you. And so it just makes both of you better and it makes you better on the other side. And so it sounds silly. I've moved on now, but in the moment it was the end of the world. And so it's just one of those things where I'm like, that's a time where I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this into practice.
But what I love about that is you took something in high school and started learning a skill that would help you for the rest of your life. And so many of us struggle now because we didn't learn that then. And so now in our 30s, 40s, 50s and up, we've got these situations in our life where jealousy is coming in, comparison's creeping in. I didn't think my life would be here. I thought it would be like that person's by now. But what we're saying is whether you are in high school or younger, or you are have a whole family, and you're in your 80s, like you can still practice and start this anywhere. And it comes back to celebrating somebody else's win as if it's your own. And it really does do something for you. And you said it great. You said people aren't used to that. They're not expecting
they
it.
don't.
So it takes the barriers down.
It does.
And so it helps us in so many different ways. Any practical tips? If someone's like, this is the area that I'm struggling with comparison right now, do you have a practical tip for someone today that they can?
Man, I would say right now, if you find yourself doom scrolling and you're struggling with the comparison, I would say think of a person that you find yourself comparing your life to. Oh, there's the timer.
Finish the thought.
Find a person that you find yourself maybe comparing your life to the most. I know this sounds crazy, and reach out to them. Maybe don't even just reach out and send a text. Ask to grab coffee with them, lunch with them, and become invested in their life and celebrate what God's doing. And you'll actually find how blessed you really are on the other side, because it'll change your perspective.
Oh, so good. Rachel Gonzalez, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you,
Contend
Elise.
101. We will see you next time.
Woo!